What's up, everybody? This is episode 8, Brewed Opinions. We're coming to you live with a Crown Jewel recap. We just watched Crown Jewel. What do you think?
Oh, dude, I loved it. We had a great night. We cooked out barbecued pork chops, chicken, steak on the grill. It was nice outside. We got to sit out back. Nice evening. We watched it out on the TV outside. Hell yeah, man. Crown Jewel. It was what it was. It was good matches. Nothing really big happened. But there's some stories to go, tell from here.
It was pretty much what we thought it was going to be, a throwaway pay-per-view.
It's a throwaway pay-per-view. Oh, PLE, Jay.
PLE.
We always forget about the PLE.
We started it. But, we got the post-game on right now. The Big E sighting, Sheamus. I guess when you're not on the card, you get to do the post-game commentary.
Good for him.
Yeah. Big E's hurt, so at least he's still getting a paycheck.
And transition into something else post-career. It's good to see.
But, I guess what was your best part of the night? What was your favorite deal, Crown Jewel?
I don't know. All the matches were actually really good. There wasn't anything that was there wasn't anything special about the event. I think it just...
I think the most important story of the night was the Bloodline story. There's a lot of...
Kicked off the show.
It was a good 30, 40 minutes. You had everything that... The one thing that... nothing was shocking. We predicted Sammy was going to come.
Yep.
We didn't know what side he was going to pick. I want to say the biggest thing in that match tonight, and we talked about it as we were watching it, was the situation between Jey and Roman.
Yeah, they're not on the same page.
They're not equals. In Roman's eyes, they're not equals.
They're not equals. They're not on the same page. That's what caused them to lose tonight. Where the new Bloodline, I don't know how they're going to call it, but the new tribe, however you want to go about it, I'm sure this is all going to come out, but it's they're a well-oiled machine. Solo has his boys. He's got the understanding, hey, this is what you guys need to do. That's the story they told tonight. The story they told tonight was Solo's in control of his guys, and Roman and Jey aren't on the same page at all. It showed even when Roman puts his hand out, like he did to Jey the other night on Smackdown, even to Jimmy,
with the microphone.
The microphone.
In Roman's eyes, they're not equals.
No, Roman's still figuring this shit out.
Yeah.
But he understands he needs his cousin to get to this level that they're going to need to go against them. The Sammy thing coming out. It's Sammy came out. It's oh my God, he's going to side with Solo. He's going to side with Solo. He teases it. Turns on Solo. Shenanigans. Hits Roman.
Starts that.
All the trust that the Bloodline, that core four, has always had is still mistrust.
Yeah.
So what do they do to fix that?
The wise man.
Yeah, Heyman has to come in and be a Roman's ear and guide the situation.
The wise man is the last piece that's going to bring it all together. Because obviously you got to set up for Survivor Series.
Oh,
that's going to be your match. They set it up. All 8 of them were in the ring at the end. That's where they're going. It's Jey sees it one way, Roman doesn't see it that way.
So on Raw, what Sammy was talking to Solo at the end when Jimmy goes to him?
Because
so that's kind of where tonight led to when Sammy came out and he's teasing it, he's looking back at Jey, he's looking at Solo. You think he's going to side with Solo? I actually thought he was going to side with Solo. Then he doesn't.
I thought that the Sammy thing could have been built up more. I think they rushed into the Sammy part of the Bloodline.
What's the problem with this this Crown Jewel thing? It's they got to make big shit happen, but it doesn't fit. It's it's forced. I understand why you don't like it. It really is a throwaway event.
There's good wrestling matches. It was
great
exciting
wrestling.
Action.
It continues the story in each one of them.
We had the kids watching tonight. They were excited. It's good wrestling action, but it does nothing for me when it comes to stories.
Right.
The Bloodline is the only thing that did tonight was it set up the the Survivor Games. It set that direction, and they obviously need something to bring them together, and it's going to be the Wise Man.
Yeah,
I mean,
because they are not on the same page. I mean,
but it's great. I thought it was great. I mean, I thought Roman's expressions were fantastic. I thought they told a major story. Even when Jey was coming to the ring from the crowd, you can see Roman's like, what is this shit? Like,
yeah, Roman's really not acknowledging it. He's just kind of like, and the thing about Roman is he's quiet right now. Mm-hmm. Even the other night when he accepted Jey back in or agreed to team with him, all he said was yeet. Yeet. Yeah. He didn't address him. He let Jey do the talking. Jey was brilliant the other night on the mic, I thought, like pleading his case. Yeah. But this is a chance for Roman to be like, no, I am the tribal chief. What are they doing here? So there's still going to be like this like conflict of interest where Roman is the OTC. Like he hasn't given up the name tribal chief.
Yeah, it's
like so it's awesome. Who knows where they're going to go from here? But like. It can go anywhere. It can go any direction they want it to go.
It's so hard to take tonight with this Saudi Arabia thing, and I don't know. I mean, I think it sets up the next story.
The thing is,
it was anticlimactic. Solo winning, you're just like, okay. Like
tonight was a night that it happens. It's a good event for the company. It's a good event for the fans. It's a good event for the world.
Oh, here's your boy Solo right now on the post show.
Yeah, but I mean, like it's Monday night will be a big deal. Roman probably won't be there because he doesn't show up on Raw, right? He's SmackDown only, but Jimmy and Jey and Sammy will probably have something.
You might start seeing Roman on Raw now that it's going to Netflix.
You could.
You're going to need that story to bring people to Netflix.
Right. But, I mean, this Monday, I'm sure it's going to be Sammy, Jimmy, and Jey figuring things out because, Jimmy got up in Sammy's face about hitting Roman. Like, they're setting it up. Like,
yeah, there's a mess. It's a
mess. And that's why the original Bloodline lost tonight.
I think they rushed the Sammy thing. I think it's time to bring Paul Heyman back. Where we go
because they really only have a couple weeks until
they got November 30th. It's like 4 weeks.
They
got to tell an amazing story to build that match up.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure we don't have the volume on right now, but I'm sure what Solo is saying right there is probably the continuation of this.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, you can tell that's part of the show.
I mean, that's this post show that they do now after the pay-per-views is really important. Because, some of it's in character, out of character. It is.
Well, it's cool that they're doing pressers and stuff. And like,
yeah, well, Triple H is trying to make it feel like a sport. Yeah. But I think that they use this little tool to continue the story. So I'm sure, I don't know what Solo said there. We'll have to watch it later. But like Solo probably said something to keep the story going.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, of course the story's going. It's not like there was anything concluded tonight. And the Bloodline will continue, and I think that tonight's match, when it comes to stories, the Bloodline match was the only thing that was any significant to a long-term story.
Yeah, I mean the KO Randy thing. I mean that was one of the ones I was looking forward to the most. That didn't even end up being a match. It just ended up being a fight.
Which they're not done, obviously.
Obviously they're not done. Yeah. But I mean there was no winner. It was just. I mean, it was chaos from the get-go.
I guess that's what they were trying to do was make it chaotic.
Oh, that was the warning from Triple H. Right? Trying to protect you.
Yeah.
This is going to be
so
a bloodbath.
They had to sell the Randy Orton injury. So Randy will probably be off TV for a few weeks, recovering from whatever his injury was tonight. And then Triple H is going to be like, I told you have to protect yourself at all times. Where does that lead, though? What kind of match does that lead to? Because now they've set the tone where Randy and KO cannot have a normal wrestling match. We've just done Hell in a Cell with Drew and CM Punk, so that's not coming back anytime soon. I mean, what kind of match do they have? Last man standing?
Fight,
last man standing. Like that's the thing now. You've set this tone with Randy and KO. You can't just settle it with a regular wrestling match. That's a problem. Well, it's not a problem because I'm sure they have a plan. But like as a fan, you're watching it, you're like, okay, well, I don't want to see these guys in a regular match.
Right.
That doesn't. They're not. I don't need that. I need them to have a violent
Yeah, they've set the tone for violence.
Yeah, what kind of match do they have, and when do they have it?
Do they have an Iron Man match? Do they have a Last Man Standing match?
Yeah, Iron Man match I don't think fits that.
Doesn't
that
make
thing.
sense.
I think, my first thing
to me is Street Fight.
First thing that comes to my mind is Hell in a Cell, which they're not going to do that so soon after Drew, because Hell in a Cell is a unique event that they have to continue to make it valuable, so they won't just put them in when they just had one with Drew and CM Punk. So it'll be a while before you see Hell in a Cell.
It'll probably.
I kind of like Last Man Standing.
Yeah,
which includes a street fight type situation. I think that's the direction that they have to go at this point, because they've set the tone tonight. They had a no contest, no finish.
And they haven't had one of those in a while, have they?
Last Man Standing, they had Last Monster Standing with Braun and Brunson Reed.
Okay.
I don't know. I obviously those two cannot have a regular fight.
No, it ain't going to be a regular.
And I don't know when it is. Do they...
Because tonight was supposed to be a regular match, and KO said no from the get-go.
Yeah, it was weird from the beginning with them. I didn't quite know what I was watching. I know I was watching Chaos, but even just sitting there, I was just like, okay, I guess this is happening. It was weird.
The whole event was weird. You're right. The Crown Jewel, it's cool. It's a night of watching wrestling, but it's just like an offset PLE, basically.
Man, you're getting good at the PLE.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm getting fucking pretty good at the PLE. I'm putting it in my brain. The PLE, no more PPP.
What's that? PPP.
But nothing really got told tonight. Even the Cody and Gunther thing, as amazing a match that was, ending was kind of quick.
Oh man, if we want to get into that, dude, that ending I thought was. Ugh.
I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to Cody didn't just outright beat Gunther or Gunther, and Gunther didn't outright beat.
He did.
He beat him, but it was in a kind of like a cat and mouse. I got you real quick, like I turned the tables in a moment. It wasn't a complete domination and the story. Gunther can come back and be you got lucky with that one. You know what I mean? I had you dead to rights.
It was a good match.
It was a great match. You could see where their thing going forward. It won't be now, but when it happens, they're going to come back to this.
After tonight, I do not know where Cody goes, because they've set the tone now with KO and Randy. And Cody doesn't seem to be a part of it after tonight.
They'll figure out a way to me.
So tomorrow night or Friday night on SmackDown, Cody's going to come out with what?
Well, if Randy goes away for a bit, does KO come out and run his mouth with attack Cody again?
I just don't think that does anything for the storyline between KO and Randy. They set a tone tonight in a direction I didn't see coming.
Right.
They set a violent where we talked about last podcast that that they were going to actually Cody was going to have to interfere somehow in that match to prolong that story, and now Randy and KO. Here you go again. Cody's not important in that. Cody's not important to the Bloodline. And he's not important to Ray right now. Where does that leave Cody?
Well, maybe. I don't know, man. I also think the Andrade and Carmelo Hayes and LA Knight didn't even need to be in that match tonight. That was a pointless point.
We talked about that too.
It's they're in this no man land right now where they don't seem. I'm sure they have the plan, but it's wrestling always goes through those ebbs and flows where there's months and certain PLEs that just kind of are throwaways. It's kind of till they figure out where they're going, because you're right. What are they going to do with LA Knight right now? He really was no factor in that match outside of just winning because he was the champ. None of the champs lost tonight. They
were never going to lose.
Right. So
I don't know.
There's nothing that happened tonight that was just outside of just good matches
I sit here tonight not knowing what's next for Cody, what's next for Gunther.
So this Monday and Friday, this coming
huge.
Monday and Friday are huge in the direction leading towards Survivor Series.
The only thing I see right now that I know what's on the horizon is the Bloodline storyline.
Right.
I know where that's going. At least I think. I don't know. But I have a good idea.
That's the only one you really understand where it's going.
There's no other group of people that can be put into the War Games match. There's nothing that big.
I mean, even your big prediction with Tiffany cashing in tonight, they teased it.
It should have happened.
Didn't happen.
But I understand. When we were watching it, I understand why maybe they didn't do that because they didn't want to upstage this new crown jewel that obviously means a lot to the Saudi Arabian prince. So it's like if they would have done a cash in, it would have kind of taken totally away from Liv's win that we're watching right now. She's getting that belt put away. Liv has turned into, we're sitting here watching this. She's getting some kind of ring. I guess they're going to get to take home the rings I saw, but the belts are going to stay in the WWE experience in Saudi Arabia. I did see that. So they're all going to get to keep rings. But cool. Liv has been surprisingly very good.
She's awesome.
She carried that match tonight because Nia's terrible.
Yep.
I mean, that is tonight should have been the night that Tiffany Stratton cashed in. I understand why they didn't do it because they didn't want to steal away from whatever they're trying to create
build here.
And I get that.
And this pay-per-view, I think, honestly, like I've said it for the last few weeks, like if this is the new thing for Saudi Arabia, this is what this belt means. They're going to enshrine them there in Saudi Arabia. Raw's coming live on Monday night from Saudi Arabia again.
That's new. They usually would just come right back home.
So they're going to do another event Monday night. This is obviously a new partnership that is important.
Oh, don't get it stuck, Cody.
For whatever,
Cody, don't get that stuck.
Yeah, for whatever reason, like this is like a big deal. So, yeah, the title's what it was. The people got what they wanted. I mean, Cody was over. Randy Orton was way over.
I want to see Cody get that
get that
ring back off. That was rough to watch. Yeah, it's like I sit here today and like I said, it's just I don't know where Cody goes from here. Like Liv has got a whole program with Rhea going. Like, and I was kind of glad that Rhea didn't show up. Like, don't let Rhea probably hopefully got some much needed time off and didn't have to come to Saudi. Well, I'm sure she'll be at Raw tomorrow.
Well, and they also got Liv.
But I guess they kind of beat her up the other night. So
they also got Liv and Tiffany engaged in some things like the other night on SmackDown when they had that whole segment with Nia, Tiffany, and Liv, and she was, Tiffany was like, "Well, when I cash in and I get your belt, do I get to take Dom with me?" So they've said that
Dirty
story.
Dom,
Dirty
man.
Dom, man. That guy's the luckiest guy in the WWE to be able to handle.
He
all
just
of
shows
those
up.
women.
He just shows. I was watching this clip.
He's a great heel. I was
talking this clip, and they're like, "Oh, Dirty Dom is so new to the business," and he's like, "No, he's not. He's been in the business for 20-something years. When he was on the ring shaking the ladder, when Eddie Guerrero was on top of the ladder, it's like he's been performing forever." He may be only a wrestler in the business for 4 years or whatever, but he's been performing. And that's why even tonight he made a little appearance with the chair and just trying to help that match along. Like I don't know how much longer you can go with Nia. I mean, she's bad and she looks dangerous. She looks like people are like in danger when they're working with her.
Yeah.
Injury wise, I mean.
I'm not a big fan of Nia, dude. I never have been. I don't understand. Like, I get the appeal because she's a bigger woman, and they always love I'm trying to say monster, but like
on the men's side, yeah. I mean, but Vince isn't there anymore, so I mean, you
had a very good tag team event with the 4-way tag team.
Cash it in on Tiffany,
yeah,
and let Tiffany run with it. Let's see if she's good enough for it.
Yeah.
She seems like she can draw heat. She can do all sorts of stuff.
Where's Charlotte, dude?
Well, they said that she was getting close to recovery, but she had a setback. So yeah, I mean, she's working her way back, but I guess she did have a setback. I read that the other day or saw a video where it was like she was close to coming back, and then
and Becky's out again.
I don't know what Becky's status is. She may not even be a WWE wrestler at the moment.
Yeah, I saw there's going to be like big cuts.
And to be honest with you,
I don't
do
care about
not
Becky Lynch.
mind that Becky Lynch is not there. I'm not a Becky Lynch fan.
I'm not a Becky Lynch fan. I'm not a Bayley fan. I'm not I love Charlotte. I think Charlotte's amazing. I think Rhea Ripley is the class act of the women's division. I think Liv Morgan is doing her thing. I think Tiffany's impressive.
Liv is playing the perfect antagonistic role to Rhea. Like you can't get a better situation than them right now.
I even think like the 4-way tag team tonight was good between those 4 tag teams. It was solid, man. It was good wrestling. They did their spots. I mean, there was some.
Yeah, I mean Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are very tremendous athletes. Tremendous athletes. I don't know, the damage control. I don't even know what that is anymore. It's just Io Sky and Kairi Sane. It's like, I don't even know what that is. They brought the girls up from NXT. Lash Legend.
Yeah.
And then Piper Niven, she's a worker. Piper Niven's been in the business forever in independence, and she's, nice to see her get on pay-per-view. Chelsea Green is a comedic situation. So it was a good match. I mean, it's a good filler.
She had a good spot tonight where she climbed to the top rope like she was going to do a moonsault off of it, and then she got down to the second rope, and then she got down to the first rope, and then she got down to the ring. Yeah. That was pretty comedic. Like you said, she's good for
Chelsea
a
Green's
character.
Great when it comes to comedy. I think she plays that role really well. And Piper Niven is, she doesn't have the look of a WWE woman wrestler that they want. Like you said, she's kind of a bigger girl like Nia, but she's actually very skillful. She's been in the business for years and years, and it's nice to see her get to be on a pay-per-view and let alone be in a Saudi Arabia pay-per-view where they don't really let the women, do a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, tonight,
looking at things they did continue though, I don't think Seth and Bronson Reed are done.
Yeah, I thought Seth and Bronson Reed might be the understated. It was a great match. There might have been a couple other matches that might have been better, but I think for a long-term story, that was good. They didn't destroy Bronson's character as far as being the monster. He took the beating.
Oh, and he kept getting up.
And he kept getting up. And at the end,
Seth had to do 3 curb stomps in 3 different ways. One on the steps, one in the middle of the ring, and then one off the top rope to finally put him out. It was fucking awesome.
The way it ended, where Seth's walking up the ramp and Brunson's still sitting in the ring, standing,
wanting more. And
okay.
Seth gets caught on camera, but he basically is like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" Yeah. Michael Cole has to be like, "Oh, Seth Rollins was mumbling something," and it's like you could clearly see he was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" He's like, "I'm here any day.
I'll make you famous."
Yeah, it was all.
The one thing that I thought the announcers were terrible tonight. Corey Graves in that women's tag match, Lash Legend did a power bomb, and he literally said it was the greatest wrestling move that he had ever seen. And I was like, come on. Come on. It was a power bomb.
Yeah, Corey wasn't on it. It doesn't seem like any of them even care about doing this event. Michael Cole wasn't even the same Michael Cole.
They're probably all exhausted, man.
Yeah, because they wrestle Friday night. Yeah. Have to get on a plane.
Come to Saudi Arabia.
That flight's got to be a fucking miserable time. And then do this event at whatever time their time. Yeah. It's a tough swing.
I mean, they're exhausted, man.
And if they did it Sunday, then they'd have to fly back. Maybe they probably should have done it tomorrow.
I think it's really...
Since Monday night's going to be in Saudi Arabia.
And they've never...
Like why? Like why?
They've never done that before, where they come, they stay extra in Saudi Arabia. Usually, it's a wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
I mean, it was a great production. I'm sure they had the crew out like weeks ahead of time, getting the arena set up and getting everything done. I'm sure with customs and all the bullshit that went into this event.
Oh yeah.
Like there's probably a lot of like that's probably why it feels the way it did. Like great event. It was a good pay-per-view. PLE. But it's just like I don't know at the end of the day what it caused. LA Knight was like, as much as I love him and like want to see where he's going, like where's he go next? Are they gonna keep him with Carmelo and Andrade? Like that seemed just like a nothing match. He wasn't even really a part of that match.
Yeah, it was.
It started right off with Andrade and Carmelo going at each other because of what they've been going through.
LA Knight was just sitting back watching.
Yeah, so it was like
that was a precursor to.
So where's he going? Are they going to throw him at Cody? Are they going to
No, I mean that's the problem though. These guys all have belts,
right?
You don't. If you want to throw LA Knight at Cody, then you take the belt off of him tonight. Like that's the problem, like with the WWE right now, is because all these guys that you want to see have these dream rivalries, all these people have belts. Gunther and Cody, they both have belts,
and they shook hands after the match.
Yeah, LA.
They
Knight.
shook hands after the match. That means they're not going any further right now.
Not right now.
Like it can be a great thing later on down the line, but there's nothing coming out of this event. Like that was it. You won.
Yeah.
Shake your hand.
I mean, they had a little exchange that I don't know what they said, but it was like it looked like it was kind of heated. Even
and like we said last week, I mean, Damian Priest is obviously the favorite to go after Gunther.
Yeah, and how about no Damian tonight?
Yeah, no Damian Priest, no Rhea Ripley.
Yeah,
I mean, the Judgment Day was only represented because of Liv, Raquel,
and Rodriguez. Like JD and Carlito weren't there. Finn wasn't there.
Right.
I mean, maybe they'll be there on Monday night in Raw, but it's like I would hate
and
if I was a wrestler and they came to me and be like, "You're not on the PLE, but you have to come to Saudi Arabia because we're going to be on Raw the next night." I'd be like, "Oh my god, make me do both, or none."
Right.
And maybe
they're all fucking in the hotels having a fucking grand old time, dude.
I gotta say, tonight, looking at KO. It was so awesome that he had Cowboy Bob Orton shirt on.
I know.
I mean, it's classic.
And on SmackDown, he had a Dusty Rhodes shirt on.
See, this right here, we're not getting to watch it because we don't have the volume up. But I guarantee you
these are setup pieces for what's coming.
Something's going on here with whatever. But
KO is great, man. KO is an underrated fucking presence in the WWE.
You love him.
I love KO. He's awesome. He's been a part of so many great things. I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, the list of Jericho. That's one of the best segments. One of the great segments, or not segments.
Oh yeah, the
pieces. His stuff with Sammy.
What do they call that night? The ceremony of friendship or something. I can't think of it, but that was like one of the greatest episodes of Raw I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. The Festival of Friendship.
Friendship.
Yeah. That was the night that it all happened, dude.
I mean, KO's just awesome. Like he's like that guy that just he's a headliner, but he gets put a lot of times in like the mid card. He just keeps the show going. He's always in something good.
Like I mean,
he always does good work.
There's no way that the two of them can be done. And how do you if you're Triple H, how do you reinsert Cody back into that storyline?
That's the only thing Cody has right now.
Yeah, because the Gunther thing was squashed tonight.
It was. And who else is on SmackDown that's gonna?
And Rome, everybody's locked up in the Bloodline story.
That's there.
LA Knight is a champion. He's not going for it.
I mean,
where does CM Punk stand right now? Seth doesn't seem like he's done with Brunson.
Seth's locked in with Brunson. Yeah. He's locked in there.
So where is CM Punk at right now?
And he's on Raw, correct?
He's on Raw.
So there you go.
Let's not talk about that.
But I mean, so you don't.
Let's not talk about the draft again.
So you see that I can't go over and do anything with Cody.
Yeah, why?
Like, who on SmackDown can legitimately like have a one-on-one with Cody? Everyone's tied up.
Storyline.
Orton's tied up and Koyo's tied up. Roman's tied up.
Storyline, nobody.
So I guess they probably will get him back in. Probably tomorrow night, KO will attack Cody, or he'll address something. Maybe he'll put an open challenge out, and they can build something from there.
Yeah, because I mean, there's going to have to be.
You know what, dude? There's times though with every champion where they go through like spells with this because stories are being told all over the roster that like it's just a throwaway story.
Well, what do you do with Survivor Series? Like, you can have Survivor Series.
Maybe he doesn't defend the belt then. But Cody's the one who's like, I want to be at every event. I'm going to be everywhere. He's a John Cena. Like, he's a true baby face.
Maybe John Cena.
Well, John Cena's not coming out yet.
Well, he said he's coming back.
He is coming back.
Where's Drew going to go?
Yeah, I guess Drew. But Drew's on Raw too.
He is. I guess it's time for a draft.
Sheamus is on Raw.
Yeah, Sheamus is just doing the post game here.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's not
Ludwig Kaiser, my boy.
Isn't he on Raw?
He is.
I mean, so yeah, who knows? I mean, do they bring Cena back now, early? And I don't think Cena's coming back to be against Cody.
You got the Intercontinental title with Braun Breaker,
right?
Who's gonna go into a program with him?
It'll be interesting.
I could see Carmelo going with Braun because they worked in NXT.
I think we're gonna see two really good, one good Raw on Monday and one good SmackDown on Friday.
You got to. It's time to tell the story of moving forward. You have Survivor Series. You know who War Games match.
You have 4 weeks to build that.
So you got. Let's talk about the future here. Let's predict the next. I mean, if we're gonna do this right, we should be when we wrap up one premium live event, we should predict the next one. And if you think about the Survivor War Games match is going to be the Bloodline.
Yep.
I mean, that's a no-brainer unless they throw us a massive curveball that we're not even.
And it's going to be Sammy, the Usos, and Roman versus the new.
It's going to be that way. The wise man's going to come out. So that being said, do we have a championship match? Do we have Gunther defend his title, and do we have Cody defend his title?
Gunther and Damian seems like that's.
Do you think that's going to happen at Survivor Series?
Because didn't we see Monday night?
Yeah, there's a four-way contender match.
Seth, Damian. Who were the two?
Yeah, they just showed it.
There was 2 other guys.
Yeah, Dominic.
Yep, Dominic and someone else.
Yeah. That should just tell you how unimportant it is.
Right.
Because Damian should be the one that wins that match because I'm sure Seth will probably get screwed out of that match by Brunson somehow. There's no other way that anybody but Damian should win that match. So maybe that's your Gunther match. Gunther, Damian,
Survivor Series.
Cody Rhodes. I don't have
I
a clue.
don't see who.
Don't have a clue.
They're going to do for that.
I think Randy and KO will have another match at Survivor Series.
Maybe that's the triple threat then. It makes the only thing that makes sense is like even with H saying that KO feels screwed by both of you guys is like say Randy's on the shelf tomorrow night because of he got put through the tables tonight and KO walked off on his own 2 feet but Randy didn't. Like maybe KO goes after Cody and it ends up becoming a three-way match. It would make sense. It's a story they can tell. Although I do think KO and Randy can do it on their own. But
okay, so our prediction is 3-way match with them. Our Gunther, Damian. Are all the belts even defended at Survivor Series? Does LA Knight have an opponent? I can see, other than the fact that they're not on the same show, I can see Carmelo getting thrust in with Braun because they had their history in NXT.
Yeah.
And I can see there's nobody, if Jay's going to be locked into Bloodline shenanigans, he's not going to be worried about the IC belt. So who else is there on Raw? Because that's basically where the IC belt exists. U.S. Championship is on SmackDown.
Yeah, what did they... I didn't see all of Raw the other night. I watched some of the highlights, but did Braun go...
No.
Was there anything with him?
Mm-mm.
So, yeah, what's his deal going to be? Do they go back to, like, War Games? I mean, you're trying to set up War Games, Survivor Series War Games. Where's the wars? There's not a lot of wars.
Well,
right
the War Games is the War Games match is the Bloodline match.
And then everything else is just Survivor Series.
Yeah, I mean it's weird because they have to wrestle all the matches in the double ring. It's kind of weird because there's only one War Games match, and that's the last match.
Right.
So last year was phenomenal with Randy Orton's return, CM Punk coming back. That was a massive night when they, Seth, Randy, when they defeated, Drew. And, that all those guys, I mean, that was a great. And then 2 years ago was Sammy's betrayal of Kevin Owens. I mean, it was, War Games is fantastic. There's a lot that can happen in War Games.
Yeah.
I mean, big time. Yeah, last year's Survivor Series was Judgment Day. That's what it was. I was trying to refresh my memory. It was Judgment Day versus Randy and everybody going against him. Cody. But, yeah, it was Cody, Seth, and Randy. And then the mystery, or Randy was the mystery fourth partner.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, does Seth and Brunson have a ridiculous match at Survivor Series? I think we all know that Rhea and Liv are going to continue their deal. I don't even know because things are so weird now with the PLEs that I don't even know if all the titles are even going to be defended at every pay-per-view like they used to.
Right, because like you look at what the tag team champions are, Motor City
Machine Guns.
Who are
There's nobody against them. The War Raiders just won that opportunity to face Judgment Day, which probably will happen.
Was that on Raw? Yeah.
Probably. Well, they'll probably do that.
And that was with the Steve Profits. Another interesting story they are telling though is Kofi, and like we talked about last week. That
you still have the Final Testament and the Wyatt Six situation to unfold. Could you have two War Games matches?
You could.
Could you have a Wyatt Six versus Final Testament War Games?
But on Monday night, Kofi
Does Final
and
Testament have the clout to be in a War Games match? Because the War Games match is epic.
Right.
I mean, if you look at the Historical War Games
maybe that's
matches,
what pushed them over the top.
Because Wyatt Six has the aura about them to be in a War Games match. Final Testament, I believe, has the ability with AOP. I called him Killer Cross, but that's his old name. It's Karrion Kross now.
Right.
And then who's their fourth partner? Xavier? I mean, or Miz, or whatever they're going to do in that particular realm. But I don't think we've ever had a Survivor Series, or let's put it this way, I don't think we've ever had a War Games pay-per-view, even back in the WCW days when War Games was WCW's creation. Have we ever had two separate War Games matches?
Right. They can do that.
I mean, have they ever had I think they've had a women's War Games match in NXT. I don't think they had. Maybe they did. I could be wrong on that. Damage Control or something like that. I don't remember. But like, what if you have two separate War Games matches?
That'd be cool.
I mean,
because they can.
I honestly don't think that every belt will be defended at Survivor Series.
No, there's no direction.
Not enough time.
The
War Games match could last almost an hour.
And if they have two,
yeah, because
you got 2 hours of the show.
You got to think every 5 minutes a competitor gets entered into that ring. It starts with 2, so you got 3 guys sitting out in those cages, 5 minutes each. That's 30 minutes of just people entering the ring until the bell actually rings. And then you got to think they're going to go 15, 20 minutes beyond. I mean, the War Games match could be an hour.
So if you do 2 of those, that's 2 hours of the show. And then you have 2 separate matches that don't mean shit.
Like if you remember, 2 years ago, Roman was the champ and he was in the War Games match, so there was no belt on the line.
Right.
Last year,
and there's plenty of
last year,
PLEs where they don't have the belt on the line.
Last year, you had Judgment Day. I guess Seth would have been the champion last year at that time. So Seth was in the War Games match against Judgment Day. And, he was the one that was clearly pissed off when CM Punk's music hit. And everybody says that the only person standing out there that knew that was going to happen was Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Because Triple H told him before he went out. Nobody else knew that CM Punk was coming back that night, which is amazing that you can keep that secret in today's society, in today's digital world of internet. But, tonight is just one step closer to WrestleMania. We checked it off the box. Crown Royal.
The Crown Royal. I didn't know we got into the whiskey earlier, bro.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, just kind of seeing this post game there, I think they're putting, Big E's top performers of the night. So, who was there somebody that stood out to you that stole the show tonight? Single competitor?
I'm impressed with Bronson Reed.
Yeah. I think the world's starting to find out who Bronson Reed, the very in-depth wrestling fan that follows independent wrestling, who Bronson Reed is. And now I think the WWE...
And I usually hate the storyline of the guy who can't, Seth having to put him down 3 times. But it was awesome. We were watching it with all the kids that were here earlier. They were so into it. And it's you get the giant can't get brought down. And
I think that the WWE world is starting to realize who Bronson Reed is, and I think Seth Rollins is doing him a massive favor by putting him in that spotlight.
He's giving him a nice rub.
Yep.
He's giving him an awesome rub, man.
A little rub and tug.
A little rub and tug, yeah. No, he is. Cody and Gunther were lights out in their match. It ended funny, but it is what it is. They probably just got to a point where it's we can do this kind of cheap ending. It'll keep the story going to down the line when we're ready to go. But they put on a good match. It was worthy of the belt.
I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably surprise, and I think that I've been super impressed with him, and I've been pretty harsh on him in the past, but I think tonight, Solo is getting much better.
Solo's awesome,
and I think that I even said on this podcast that he struggled on the mic, but I believe that he's gotten really good. He's cut some great promos recently, and tonight, even when
his mannerisms are awesome.
They're getting way better. And I think when even Friday night or 2 Fridays ago when he offered, when he gave the title shot to the Motor City Machine Guns, even his expressions in that promo, you even said, make your impact and stuff like that. I know that's written for him, but it's even tonight, his facial situations, right there, they showed the highlight of Roman.
He walks up to Roman I'm the boss.
Yeah.
No, there were great moments, and he's really good in the ring.
I'm giving my MVP of the night to Solo.
Yeah,
even though his match happened so early. Even that, when they were all standing and surrounding him, he had to play that puppy dog, don't hurt me. Remember,
it was awesome.
He was put the finger up. He was we're still the ones and everything.
Yeah.
That was so good. That little thing. I thought Nia was the worst of the night. I'm just seeing it now. That's probably harsh, but
dude, she's terrible. She's terrible. She always has been. She has one thing that she has going for her, and it's that she's just a big woman. She's a big size woman, and
Gunther and Cody were great, but yeah, my MVP, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it was Solo tonight. Mannerisms, telling the story.
It's too bad that these two, have the belts, both belts right now, because this could be a great thing going forward. Like, I do think these guys could have an unbelievable program. It would just be an
absolute waste to tie both belts up in one story.
Right. Because what do you get out of it? Like, they'd have to find something personal, and there's nothing really personal between them.
Unless your goal is to unify the belts. But they just recreated the belts. So
right.
They
added this Crown Jewel bullshit.
Yeah.
Like,
they just had to recreate the Roman had him for so long. They had to recreate the belt for Raw. Mm-hmm. I mean, so they're not going to do that. I mean, it was, Crown Jewel was Crown Jewel. I mean, we expected it. We didn't.
Great wrestling was exciting.
Yeah, we didn't think anything.
I enjoyed it.
Didn't think anything serious was going to come out of it, and it didn't. Bloodline was probably the highlight of the night as far as storytelling goes, and some Sammy coming and things like that. I don't know. I think it's time for the wise man.
Me too. Heyman's got to come back.
Yeah, it's time. He needs to be the one that brings them all together. But maybe,
maybe that's how Raw kicks off tomorrow night.
And I said this to you earlier. I said, the dissension between Roman and Jey in the ring tonight, I was like, that's your end game with the Bloodline right there. Because Jey is so over. They are equals.
Yeah.
In the fans' eyes.
Right.
And Roman doesn't see it that way. And that's why I think that there's an end game between the two of them.
Like, Jey rose to prominence despite Roman and how he kept him down and went and did it on his own, which his brother couldn't even do.
Right.
Jimmy's not over like that. Jimmy had to come out with Roman tonight. So, yeah, that's the story they're telling. Yeah, that's the end game story they're telling.
There's a lot of undertones that you're seeing Triple H genius.
And on SmackDown the other night,
I'm sure Paul Heyman is writing that story.
When Jey comes out and he's talking to Roman and he's pleading, I mean, you could see Jimmy in the corner, and Jimmy couldn't keep. He was so excited about what was about to transpire, like he had to keep turning away from the camera to like the turnbuckle because he couldn't keep like the serious like oos face on, like it's all business. Like he couldn't help himself from smiling because one, he's proud of his brother. Because his brother's Jay's on another level. Like,
oh yeah,
kudos to him.
Tonight's entrance showed how huge Jey is.
Yeah,
I mean, you're in another country.
He came out second.
You're in another country.
Roman had to come out first. Jey came out. The second guy is usually the guy that's the top dog in the situation.
That was huge, and when you were equals, I mean, that was huge.
And then when Roman puts his hand out for the tag and Jey tags Jimmy, like. There's so much mistrust and not cohesion in that group, like, and explains why they lost tonight. We were sitting out in the back with the kids, and they were like, "How do they, And we were trying to explain to them, you have to have a leader, you have to have organization, you have to have trust. Like they're telling that story. Solo's got his group on lockdown.
Yep,
Roman doesn't.
Worshiping him.
They're just getting back together, and Jey wants his. What do you say? We're going to be equals. If you talk to me one time and show me disrespect, I'm out.
Yeah, which
means he goes, and you can get out too.
Which means he's not there for the cause.
Right.
He's there for himself, and that's the problem. And that's what the wise man has to round them all up, and that starts tomorrow night on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Mm-hmm. It has to.
Yeah.
They have to have a big Raw. This is their first Raw in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
It should be a really good show on Monday night.
And they have to start to set up. You only have 4 weeks to tell the Survivor Stories series. And that's the story that has to be told, is the Bloodline War Games match. I mean, that's the story that has to be told.
Yeah. Cody's almost on the back burner at this point. Maybe that's just it. Cody's just on the back burner for a little bit. And that's okay. It happens. Oh, Jay's all over Cody. He's done with Cody.
I'm not gonna.
He's talking shit all earlier.
I'm not gonna.
I'm done with Cody. I'm done with this stick.
I'm not gonna go there yet, but something different has to happen with Cody for me to get re-interested. That's the best way to put it.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm just. It's the whole. I'm a heel guy. I mean, that's what I like.
I know you're a heel guy. You love it.
Yeah, I mean. I can't wait for the moment that he turns heel.
It's coming. I watched the.
It's not coming anytime soon. But
it's not coming anytime soon. But he was on. I was telling you, Andrew Schultz, this podcast this week. Great podcast. Recommend it to anybody who loves wrestling, who loves Cody. It was a 2.5 hour podcast. Dove into everything from his time before to leaving the company to coming back. Typical pro wrestling. Take it with a grain of salt, whether the stories are real or not. I mean, that's the beauty about pro wrestling is like it's always kayfabe. It's always like you never know what is true. And Cody played into that really well. But it was a great podcast. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was very intriguing and very informational about his journey, where he's at, and in that podcast, they asked him about, and he's like, he was talking about Cena. He was like talking about how he's like he was talking about how he's like a true baby face. Like he said, I'm a white meat baby face, like the biggest baby face you could be right now. And he goes, but I know at some point in time the fans are going to turn. He goes, and it's every right of theirs to turn. He goes, Cena had it better than anybody. Like Cena's thing, and he goes, that's why probably Cena never changed. It was like to have a crowd that's 50-50 split every single night for 15 years be like, love you, Cena. Cena sucks. You know, like it was fucking amazing. Like Cena is just on another level compared to anybody else. And even though we got tired of it, it's like, when's Cena going to turn? But Cody was like, I'm not Cena. Like, kind of basically like, I will listen to what they're saying and what they're doing and go. So it's like, yeah, we're going to have that at some point in time.
That's when I'll like him again.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just kind of bored with him.
Oh,
I guess that's the way to put it.
It is there. It is there. It's like, I'll love him just because I love Cody. I'll root for him because he's fucking the American Nightmare, man. Like,
you love baby faces.
It's fucking, dude, the entrance, everything about it is awesome. I'm always going to root for the baby face, but at the same time, too, I'm going to love it when he turns heel.
Yeah.
I'll boo him. I'll be like, but I'm going to be like, this is a great like character arc for him and changing. Yeah. And I understand why Cena was the way he was. Like, the Cena thing, it's incredible that Cena did what he did for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And
out of nowhere, too.
And had the audience the way he did.
Yeah. And I don't think anybody even expected Cena to be that guy. And he came out of nowhere and ruthless aggression, man.
You know what I watched the other night, dude? I watched the Rock Cena rivalry.
Oh, yeah. It's good. I've seen it, yeah.
I forget how good that was and how they were the first ones to use social media. Like, attack each other through like outside of network television and use social media. To the part
where you didn't know what was real. What you didn't
know it was a brilliant.
You still don't know.
When you look back at it, you're like, wow, that really was awesome.
You still don't know how the two
Rock won one, Cena won the other. So there's still that story to tell with Cena coming back too. Like, it's when you look at everything that has happened and like what's coming.
That's why it was great when Cena's music hit in the main event of WrestleMania last year when The Rock was in there.
Yeah,
that was a big moment. If you know the history of that's why the Undertaker appearance didn't make sense.
Yeah,
but Stone Cold's appearance would have made sense,
right? Because
he had the history with The Rock, not the Undertaker.
You know what? We're talking about that. Cody was talking on that Andrew Schultz podcast, and he goes, "You know what? He goes, one of the most amazing moments I've ever had in a ring." He goes, "It was at that when the Undertaker showed up," and he goes, "Oh, how did he explain it?" He goes, "The Undertaker shows up. He goes, I'm kind of there. I'm dazed because of what I just went through in the match, and I look up, and when the Undertaker chokeslammed Roman or whoever he chokeslammed." He takes a moment, he looks over at Cody, gives him a wink, and then the lights go out black. And he goes, "That dude's fucking magical." He goes, "I didn't know it was." He goes, "It was just like perfect timing, dude. It was so cool." But he's like, "It's one of the greatest moments I've ever had in the ring." Like, he goes, "The Undertaker is like that. Like, it's just there's something special about when that dude.
He's unbelievable, man.
Like, he goes, he jumped into the ring as fast as he could, did all this, and he goes, there's this like second of time. He looks over, he winks, and then the lights go out, and he's gone. And it's like, it was cool, man.
Yeah, he's that whole story about the Undertaker appearing that night with the last second. He was sitting in the suite, and Triple H texted him and was like, "You're gonna go," and he's like, he left his family to go downstairs to go do it, and he didn't even really know what he was gonna do at the time.
Yeah.
Because honestly, I think that was Stone Cold's spot. And
should have been.
Stone Cold's like, I don't know, whatever. I'm not getting into that, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, Crown Jewel's in the books, dude.
Crown Jewel's in the books.
Good. We got a lot to look forward to in the next couple of weeks. We got a bunch of Raws, a bunch of Smackdowns, and War Games, dude.
Yeah, starting Monday night.
They
first ever Raw, and
they got to start and putting some matches together to start it. I mean, I would imagine that this week they will announce the War Games match, probably on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I don't know if it starts tomorrow night or Monday night, and they announce it on SmackDown. But you got to start putting matches together. You got to start figuring out Cody. You got to start figuring out Gunther.
Things are going to build. Things are going to get going, I think. I'm excited to see Monday night. They probably put a big production on for a Monday night show in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like that'll be very interesting.
The fact that it's in Saudi Arabia is massive because they never used to do that.
Right.
They would be over there and they'd already be on a plane ride home tonight.
Yep. So I think that's going to be telling. It's going to be cool. Then probably come back to the States for SmackDown, and then hey, we're on the fucking Survivor Series.
Yep.
And
War Games, baby.
I trust Triple H. I think he has a plan. I think it's going to all work itself out. We'll be here every week to tune you guys into what's happening and what our thoughts are and opinions are. Our brood opinions.
No, it's good. We appreciate everybody for joining us. Crown Royal was great. Crown Royal. I keep saying Crown Royal. Crown Royal is good.
We haven't even had any Crown Royal tonight, but apparently Jay wants one. We might have a nightcap with some Crown Royal.
Crown Royal is good, but Crown Jewel was good. I don't know why I keep saying that.
It's just a little naughty taste of the naughty
naughty water. Crown Jewel's in the books. On to the next. And, yeah, man, thanks again, everybody. Episode 8 in the books. Keep following us. Keep commenting. We love everybody's interactions. Everything's been going great. And
please subscribe across all social media fields for us if you like what you're hearing, and give us comments, give us
a rating, do whatever you want. We're just kind of trying to bring out the best, and you guys seem to be enjoying everything so far. We're just regular fans like you guys. We've been watching wrestling for a long time, so we're just like you, and we say what we're thinking, and according to what you guys are saying, you guys are agreeing with us. So. That's really cool.
We appreciate it. Jackie Moon always said one thing.
ELE, baby.
Everybody love everyone.
Thanks a lot, guys. Peace. We'll see you next time.